to the Department of Politics Postgraduate web chat. My name's Dr. Felicity Matthews. I'm one of the directors of recruitment in the department.
I'm Dr. Simon Rushton, and I'm the other director of recruitment here in the department.
So welcome to our chat today. We're quite easy about answering any questions that you've got, about the course, the programmes, the meaning of life, anything at all. We thought it might be quite nice if we could warm up first of all by telling you a few things that we like about life here in Sheffield. So tell me, Simon, generally speaking, what do you like about Sheffield itself as a place to sort of live, not just to study?
The Peak District. The Peak District is definitely my favourite thing about Sheffield. Walk from my house out into open countryside in about an hour. Fantastic. Walking, cycling, mountain biking, climbing, all of those things. So I think having that on our doorstep is definitely...
It really is on our doorstep. So where all the students tend to live and where the university accommodation is backs onto that Peak District. So if you do like being outdoors, getting your bike on the weekend, there's definitely something for you. Now, I like being outdoors, but I prefer a more structured outdoor experience, and it's also very good for shopping in Sheffield as well. We have lots of shops, restaurants, we have Meadowhall, which is a big shopping centre. One thing I like about Sheffield is the fact it's so hilly, which might sound a bit perverse, but by the time you've walked to uni and back a couple of times each week, you don't need to do any more exercise whatsoever. So, Simon, what do you like about life here in the department?
The main thing I like about life in the department, I think, is the sense of the research community that we have. And I think that comes through in the way we treat and interact with our students and make them part of that research community, but also in the way we design our courses and design our modules that really do connect up what we research every day with what we teach. And I think that, for me, makes it a really exciting place to work, where I'm able to do my own research and all our colleagues are doing amazing research, but also we translate that into teaching.
We do talk a lot about research-led teaching in this department. Could you explain that in a little bit more detail, please?
Sure. So it's about, really, what it comes down to is not teaching our students from ancient old textbooks. It comes down to teaching them the things that we're excited about and that we're researching about right now, and involving students in our research process. I think that's particularly something that we can do at the master's level, where we're dealing with really able students with all kinds of experiences from all around the world. And I really learn so much from so I teach a global health politics module at the master's level, and I learn so much from my students on that module that they really are almost part of my research process. It's great.
I would absolutely agree with that. I teach at master's level on some of the modules relating to public policy, governance and policy making. And it's a really international, diverse classroom, and I can share my own knowledge, which is based on the policy making in the UK and across the UK. But I've learned so much from my students in the classroom. So we had one year a group of students whose government, Kazakhstan, had sponsored them to come over and study in the department. And they were all practitioners who'd spent 10 years in the civil service already, doing all the things that I was trying to teach the class about, but in a very different context, in a sort of post-communist context. And I learned so much from those students I would never myself learn from a textbook and inform my own thinking. And so you're right that teaching and research at master's level is iterative and it's involving, and students are a real crucial part of that dialogue.
That's definitely right, and students learning from each other, right, in those kind of classroom settings is really important part of the master's experience.
Yeah, because we have a really diverse student body at master's level, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
How many countries are students from? I can't think off the top of my head. Worldwide, every corner of the globe, which always annoys me, that phrase, because a globe is a sphere and it doesn't have corners, but we have students from all over the world, so it's a really vibrant international experience. You have an international experience here in Sheffield.
Great. So the purpose of today really is just that we answer any questions that you have. We can't see and hear you, so please, if you have any questions, put them in the text box, and Felicity and I will do our best to respond to those.
So Joel, you've got an offer to study on politics, governance and public policy, and that was the degree that I was referring to there that I teach on, and I teach policy making in the real world. So if you have any questions about this degree or anything, I'm actually quite well placed to advise you on this. Okay. Hi Daniel and hi Joel. I'll take Joel's question first because he started the question. So Joel's asked about financing because he hoped to get a scholarship from the university. Now, there are a number of financing options available to students, and they depend whether you're a home student, which includes EU students, or an international student. So first of all, you need to work out what sort of student you are. Obviously, you know that and I don't. And if you refer to the university's finance pages, we can send you a link to that afterwards. There's lots of information about the various pots of money that are available. So you're an international student from Nigeria, thank you, that's really useful. So the university has an international team with members of staff dedicated to each country overseas, and we have a member of staff that's responsible for looking after students from Nigeria. Now, there are various scholarships available for various students in various countries, and I don't have the details immediately at my fingertips, but our colleagues in the Nigerian department will be able to advise you further about that. Any decisions about scholarships are sort of out of our hands, really, aren't they? So, is there anything I can help you specifically about student financing? Shall I take Daniel's question?
Yeah, why don't you take Daniel's?
Whilst I'm waiting for Joel to finish typing his question, I'll take Daniel's. And Daniel's asked how many contact hours there are on average on the Politics, Governance and Public Policy programme. The contact hours are actually the same for all the 3 degrees that our department offers. So all students do a combination of core and optional modules. The option and cores that are for your programme are shown on the website. For each taught module that's worth 30 credits, you receive 12 hours of 12 weeks of contact time. So the semester's 12 weeks, and within each week you have 3 hours of contact time, and that can be structured over lectures, seminars, workshops, other forms of interactive sessions. So on average, you're taking 2 taught modules per semester, which means that on average, over the 12-week semester, you have 6 hours of contact time per week. Now, we think it's a really good balance that we've struck in the department. It might not seem like a lot of contact hours at first, but more so than ever, studying at master's level is about you reflecting and developing as a sort of self-equipped, independent scholar. So the contact time it's an important part, but it's just one part of that learning process. And so your timetable will be structured, so your contact hours will be spread, the 6 hours will be spread throughout the week, with plenty of time around seminars to do that vital preparatory work and also to follow up afterwards.
The other thing I'll add to that is about the dissertation which you write over the summer. So you'll do 2 semesters of taught modules, as Felicity just described. But over the summer you are writing your dissertation, and that is a process which is done one-on-one. So you'll decide what you want to write your dissertation on, and you'll then be matched up with a supervisor from the academic staff who is an expert in that particular area. So all of your contact time for the dissertation will be one-on-one individual sessions with that expert over the summer, usually kind of maybe 30-minute to 1-hour sessions at a time, and they'll help you develop your project, think about the appropriate methods, theoretical frameworks you might use, think about the data sources you might use, and really work with you on a one-on-one basis throughout the summer in turning your idea into the finished dissertation.
I think that's a really important point. It's useful to think of the master's year as being divided into thirds. So you have 2 teaching semesters. The semester roughly runs from September through to December for semester 1, and you'll do 2 modules then. And then the second semester is roughly February through to May, early June, and again you'll take 2 taught modules. And that dissertation period is afterwards, as Simon described, over the summer. You'll do preparatory work before that, but the main independent period of research is over that summer period, and the hand-in date is about September, so it's a 12-month programme when you include the dissertation. Okay, Joel's asked if the course requires writing exams or just essays. Now, at master's level, obviously, first of all, it depends on the module that you're taking. Each individual module has its own assessment requirements, and they're detailed on the website. So when you look at the courses and then the modules, you click through, it shows you in broad terms how each module is assessed. So in very broad terms, I can confirm that none of our master's modules are assessed through examination. are all assessed for a variety of different courseworks. That may include essays. It can also include different forms of coursework, such as group work or presentations or policy reports or and so on. How do you assess yours?
So my module has two
Simon?
pieces of assessment. There's one 4,000-word essay where students are really encouraged to work with me on developing their own essay questions, obviously that are relevant to the course. The second piece of assessment is a policy report. So I ask students to write a short 2,000-word policy report which is aimed at a particular policy audience, which they nominate for themselves. And there's a piece of persuasive writing, but persuasive writing backed by evidence, which is all about how to convey their ideas about whatever global health topic it might be they're interested in, effectively to a policy audience.
Sorry, was the policy report a group work?
No, it's an individual piece of work. And actually, the way we do it is that on my course, every week through the semester, one of the required readings is a policy report. So we build up through the semester, between us, a kind of collective expertise on what makes a good policy report, how to make them persuasive, how to structure them well, and then at the end of the course, they write their own individually on a topic.
That sounds really interesting because you're giving students important practical skills as well there, because I think it's an intellectual exercise, isn't it, undertaking a master's degree, but there are also important transferable skills we're able to give our students through our assessment methods.
Exactly right, and the assessment also serves two purposes. Assessment is about you showing us what you can do and what you're capable of, but it's also about, through the process of doing the assessment, you developing those skills, improving those skills, getting feedback on your work. So it's both a kind of formative and a summative thing.
My approach to assessment is very similar. On the module that I teach, the assessment's roughly divided between an essay, which I think is 3,500 words, which is an individual essay, and then it's a piece of group coursework where students take a real-world policy problem and explore why it occurred and how it can most effectively be addressed. And I think it's really important that students work in groups on that, because when we tackle policy problems in the world of policy making, we don't work by ourselves at the desk. We work in teams. We share ideas, expertise and perspectives, and that's how we arrive at, hopefully, better policy solutions. So again, it's that we're trying to strike that balance between giving you academic skills but also real practical skills that you can take with you after graduation. So following on from that, we'll come back to Joel's question in a minute about finance. So Daniel's also asked about the average size of the seminar groups.
Well, that varies by module. So on my module at the moment, I've got 12 in my group. So it means we're now, this afternoon is my last session with them. So I've spent 12 weeks with these 12 people, and we've got to know each other really well over that time.
You brought chocolates in?
I brought wine in.
Brought wine in? Secret was. Blimey, you're generous. He must like his students.
Yeah, but we've become, it's like I said earlier about them being part of the research community. We are 12 students and me, 13 of us who've spent a long time talking together about.
That's what's so nice about teaching at the master's level, isn't it? We do get to know our students really well, because it's not just a sea of people in front of us in a lecture theatre like it can be at undergraduate level. It's completely different. And also everyone wants to be there in the seminar group. Exactly. So I'm sure if you all cast your mind back to those what could be dreadful first year seminar groups where no one's done the reading, everyone's looking at the floor, and it's like that. It's not like that at all at master's level, is it? So the class size can vary. I think we have a limit of about 18 students per group. It depends how popular the module is, how many students are signed up. But if there's more students, we put on another seminar group so everyone has a really nice, intimate learning experience. Okay, so Joel, you asked about if you don't get the scholarship, what are the tuition fees like? If you go on the department's website, on the master's degrees, the page specifically for fees and funding, and it gives you a breakdown of what the tuition fee costs are there. And for 2017-18 entry, for overseas students, the fee is £16,500. There are a range of links through there to the finance team pages that explain how you make that payment in terms of the means of payment and in terms of when that payment needs to be made. So you'll need to have a look there to make sure you're familiar with the details. But if you go onto our page, that provides you with the launchpad through to it. You've also asked if the library operates 24 hours. We have a series of libraries across the universities, but the main one is called the Information Commons, and that's a huge resource, really that useful student resource. It's more than just a library, really, isn't it? Computers, laptop points, workspace areas, small group work areas that students can look at. There's students using that resource all the time. It's never empty, is it?
I don't know. I've never been in on Christmas Day, but
I didn't go in. I went past.
But as Fliss said, there's a number of other libraries on campus. One of the other big ones is called Western Bank Library, which is, I suppose, more of a kind of research-oriented,
or a proper library, as I like to call it.
Library.
Yeah, old-fashioned library.
Where students probably work in there less frequently,
yes,
but quite often in researching essays or dissertations. There's a greater depth of material available.
I mean, personally, I prefer what I still call the main library, because when I was an undergraduate, it was called the main library. Now Western Bank Library, because I just love the architecture. Yeah, it's a really beautiful sort of mid-century modern building. It was restored recently to its sort of former 60s glory. So if you like 60s architecture, come to the University of Sheffield, because it's immense. But I'm sure that's not what's motivating you all to study here. Joel, yes, it's entirely possible for you to have a list of the modules for the course. They actually are available on the website. So you're studying the Politics, Governance and Public Policy degree. If you go onto that degrees pages under courses, you'll click through and you'll see that one of the tabs on the page says modules. So if you click onto that, it shows you the core modules that you have for your degree and the option modules. And when you follow through the links, it tells you exactly what the module entails, how it's assessed, and so on. So all of that information is there, so please do have a look. Okay, so Daniel's asked if we can give a bit more information about the Understanding Politics module. So the Understanding Politics module is a core module for all master's level students, for all degrees. It's a short core module, so it takes place over, I think, half the semester. And it's not one in which I teach, so let me just read the module outline and refresh myself with it.
In the meantime, Pauline, welcome. I see you just joined us. This is Dr. Felicity Matthews, and I'm Dr. Simon Rushton, and we are the recruitment team for the Department of Politics here in Sheffield, and we're here just answering any questions that you have. So if you've got any questions, just type them in the text box.
Okay, so the Understanding Politics module is what I thought it was, and it's a short, as I say, it's a short core module aimed for all students. And the purpose of this is to provide everyone with a degree of preparation as some of the key intellectual and practical academic skills that we think you need to do well on a master's degree. So we introduce you to course terminology, some of the big ideas in the field of politics, some of the practical skills that you need to do well, such as gathering information, analysing information. And that ensures that everyone, no matter their academic background, because we have students who've not studied politics before, have a really firm foundation to sort of move forward with their degree.
But I think even for those who have studied politics before, it takes you beyond what you've done at undergraduate level and very much builds on what you've done at undergraduate level.
Of course, and everyone, even if you've studied politics before, everyone's come in from different universities, and maybe different teaching traditions, or maybe slightly different degrees. Someone might have a degree in politics, someone might have a degree in security studies, and it's providing that sort of common body of knowledge for all students that we think they need to have to graduate. Okay, so Joel's asked about student accommodation. It's very nice accommodation, and one of the nice things about Sheffield, we said at the beginning, is where the university is situated, and the accommodation is in that sort of nice part of town, as it were, isn't it?
So I don't know if any of you have been to Sheffield before, but
hi, Pauline.
But the university, although it's not an out-of-town campus university, the university is all in one part of the city, very close to the city centre. Yeah. So it's really easy to get around. It has a very nice kind of campus feeling, I always think, even though you're on the north.
It's kind of striking that balance, isn't it? Yeah. Because I've always, personally, I don't like campus universities. I know a lot of people do, it's personal choice. But I like to feel integrated a bit more to where I'm studying rather than being, as you say, out of town and needing to get a bus in. But there's still a very distinctive campus area, isn't there? And they kind of blend in a little bit. It's nice.
That's right, yeah. So Pauline's asking about how big is the international community. So at the master's level, a majority of our students are overseas students. You'll probably know the percentage. It's about 60%, I think.
Oh gosh, I haven't got the percentage off the top of my head. Let me just think of the latest figures. Yeah, it's about 60-40 split between overseas and home students. And also remember that home includes European students as well. So when we say home students, we mean students from anywhere in Europe. So it really is very diverse.
So it's a clear minority. Maybe about 30% of our students probably are from the UK.
Yes.
Originally. So really international, as Felicity was saying earlier, that it's
and our staff are international.
Our staff are very international as well. But it's really a group of students that are genuinely from all around the world, from everywhere from North America over to East Asia. We have students from almost everywhere. So it's a big and thriving international community.
And that's just in the department, and across the university. Whatever country you're from, you won't be the only student from that country, and there'll be there's societies for different countries, there's language groups, there's culture groups. It's a really international, diverse campus. Okay, so Pauline, you've also asked about the cost of living expenses. I'm just looking here at the university accommodation, following the link that we posted just above, and rents in 2015-16 were about £99 a month for a room in a shed. A month? Sorry. They were £99 a week for a room in a shared flat, or around £155 a week for a studio apartment. So details about what's included are on the website. So it says here it includes all your bills, contents insurance, customer services and security, and it also includes free Wi-Fi. So if you do take university accommodation, you're looking at between £99 to £155 a week, with pretty much everything you need included, apart from food. That's university accommodation. A lot of students choose to go into private accommodation, and prices vary, so that will depend on where you rent, the quality of what you're renting, whether it's, for example, an ensuite room or not, the location, what's included. It will vary, but Sheffield generally is a cheap city to live in. It's got low cost of living compared to a lot of other cities in the UK. Okay, Daniel, as a mature student, you're not mature at 28.
Technically you are.
You're just a whippersnapper. You're wondering how mature students are represented in the course intake. I don't have any statistics to hand, but thinking about my own teaching, where there's a lot of practitioners coming in, for example, civil servants who are taking a career gap and so on, mature students are really well represented at master's level, much more so than at undergraduate level. I think it's because the course is only a year long. It can be studied part-time if a student wishes to, and so that makes it a lot more flexible for students to undertake. So you certainly won't stand out as being a mature student in a master's seminar group. Particularly as I say on my courses, where students come in having had 10 years, 20 years experience as civil servants and so on.
Quite often employers will pay for their staff to do master's degrees, so we get a number of mature students that way.
So you're part of a large minority. Yeah, that's fair to say. So Pauline's asked whether it's difficult to change from an entrepreneurial course to politics. I think if you've not studied politics before, it is going to be new, and you are going to have to invest some time into preparing yourself, familiarising yourself with discipline. But I think what's worth stressing is, because we accept students with a variety of relevant qualifications, which can include things as diverse as business management, economics, sociology, English literature, that there will be a lot of you in the same position, as it were. So you won't be alone. You're not going to be in a classroom where everyone studied politics at undergraduate level and you're the only one who hasn't. So there is space in the way the timetable is structured to allow you to sort of familiarise yourself with the discipline, as it were.
And as we were talking about earlier, the core module which everybody takes is very much designed to bring those students up to speed who haven't studied politics before. So you won't be just left to flounder. We understand that new master students coming in need different levels of support in getting up to speed with the politics course, and we provide those different levels of support.
So Joel's left us. Oh, see you in September. Fantastic.
Good.
Hope you do. It'd be nice to meet you.
So the student union here in Sheffield is really active.
Yeah.
And I think for the last 7 years now has been voted the best students' union in the UK.
It It's always one that. I mean, I was an undergraduate in this department a long time ago, but it was even then. It was the prize-winning student union, and it's separate from the university. It's not part of the university, and it's sort of like an autonomous space for students to come together, to socialise, to campaign, to meet like-minded people, to share interests, hobbies, cultures. It's a great student union.
And to answer your follow-up question, Polly, no, it's really easy to get involved there. So everybody who is a student at the University of Sheffield is also a member of the student union. So
you're automatically part of the student union. It's not a separate applications process, and you can get stuck in.
Yeah, in terms of getting involved in the clubs and societies and things that run there, it's really easy. They always have lots of events through the beginning of the year, especially through September and October, to try and welcome new people into all of the different clubs and societies and sports teams and all of the things that are going on.
There's something for everyone, really, no matter your hobby or political persuasion or whatever. We also have a politics society in the department, and that's part of the student union, but based in the department. It's where politics students organise, come together and get involved in political life. They work a lot with us in the department. They put on events for students, they invite guest speakers, they go and do volunteering work in the local community. So some of our students at the moment are helping in a breakfast club where they're volunteering this organisation that helps people who are homeless or living on the streets, providing them with a really nutritious warm breakfast. They do good things.
Really good,
so most students do join the politics society because it's a great way to make friends in the department as well.
And they also do more academic things like going into schools and teaching kids about politics. Putting on intellectual events in the department, often based around current events.
So they've done teachings, haven't they? So was it the Ukrainian crisis a couple of years ago? They went to a local college and worked with A-level students, so 16 to 18-year-olds who were studying politics, and gave them some extra tuition on real-world events. So Daniel's asked about what careers graduates in the governance and public policy course have gone on to do. Now, the problem we have is unless people fill in the survey when they graduate to tell us where they are, we don't have lots of statistics, but I can only give you anecdotes, I'm afraid. So, as I explained earlier, a lot of the students on the governance and public policy course are having career breaks, or being sponsored by their governments, or being sponsored by their employers. So oftentimes they go back to their employers or their host countries because they've got a contractual obligation to do so. But they go back with a view to getting promoted, getting on, and so on, because that's why they studied the course. Now, obviously, not all students are sponsored, and some students take this course as a stepping stone to a career in the field of governance and public policy. Some of the students I've taught have gone on to work as policy advisors, as civil servants, on the civil service fast stream here in the UK. They've gone to work for MPs as researchers, and they've forged careers like that, not just in the UK, but in countries throughout the world. Now, not all students go on and have a career directly in the field of public policy or working alongside government, and a lot of students use their transferable skills. For example, working in the charity sector, working in teaching, in research. There's a huge variety of options that our students want to undertake. So if you go to the career service, I'll get Simon's tax address in now for me. We'll just find it. There is a separate section where it gives you alumni case studies. So you can search by department or by degree, and there's some case studies there where former students explain what they did with their degree.
Well, just to add to the list, there are former students of mine who've gone to work, quite a number have gone to work for non-governmental organisations, in organisations globally like the World Bank or the United Nations. So many of them do go on into careers directly related to what they study, but by no means all.
I'm just going to carry on.
Sorry, I'm answering Pauline's question here about whether students are allowed to work alongside the degree. We have quite a large number of students who work at least part-time alongside doing their masters, and the kind of timetable flexibility makes that possible for most of our students.
We do have to stress that a master's degree is seen as a full-time programme of study, and you should ensure that your time is balanced to allow you to put full-time hours in. But obviously, you can be flexible as to when those hours are scheduled in your own working week, and it's certainly possible to work part-time. Part-time, we tend to say, is no more than 16 hours per week during semester. And I personally worked through my undergraduate and postgraduate and PhD studies, and it's entirely possible. You just need to be a bit more organised, but there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and to answer the second bit of your question, I mean, in the department we wouldn't necessarily work with you on finding you somewhere to work, but we have a central university career service who do just that. So there are opportunities to get support.
I'm just sending you a link now.
From the university in finding part-time work alongside the studies.
If you would follow that link that I've just put up, it takes you through to the career service where they've got details of placements, of student job shops, which is like part-time jobs. And also you can just go out into the city centre and see who's hiring and find your own job as well. But we offer a range of contacts there.
So we have got a few minutes left if either of you got any other questions. If not, we're happy to let you go about your day, and we hope to see you here in September.
Or if you have any questions in between, just drop us an email. You have the email address ma-politics@sheffield.ac.uk, and we can answer the questions that you've got.
Yeah, we're always happy to follow up with
you
afterwards. Excellent, thank you, Pauline. We've got your email address, and we look forward to seeing you in September.